engine will turn over really fast when you just open up big holes in the side.
Oh yeah.
There's no compression. God damn it.
Well, it turned your sealed chamber into an unsealed chamber.
Right. Bought an oil pressure gauge too.
Sweet.
$11 at Napa.
Did you get a Napa button? Should have got a Napa button.
No Napa buttons.
Damn.
But I figure what we'll do is we're gonna pull all the spark plugs and we'll hook up the new oil pressure gauge and we'll spin it over and check for oil pressure first. If we have some pressure, that'll be great. I'm also gonna pull a valve cover and look at what the top of the heads look like and give us an idea of the condition of the engine and how well it's been taken care of. I actually have one valve cover loose already and I haven't taken it off yet because I wanted to save the big reveal for the camera. So we can do that here in a sec. Boy, this one was really sticky. I'm a little worried about it. I definitely think that some of these want to cross thread or strip or something, and there's never sees on it again too.
Ouch.
And they're all new. They're all Motocraft. So what I imagine happened here is that someone before me, probably the last guy who owned the car, when he got it, he went to do all the same things that I'm doing and discovered that some of the spark plugs were really gacked. And so he put a bunch of never sees in here, put them in, made sure not to tighten them too tight, and just babied it. Which is exactly the same thing that we're going to do. I actually just noticed that these are not the same. This is a Motocraft, this is an Autolite. And this looks like all the others over there, but this one does not.
Someone just kept the old Autolite in
That's
there?
really interesting. Who knows why that would happen? I was already planning on replacing all the spark plugs anyway, but now I think that that's going to happen before we even run the car. We'll make a run to the auto parts store and buy a whole fresh set. They're not terribly expensive. It's a part that you should always replace anyway, and you should never do this.
No. First try. All right.
Okay, so I've actually had all the bolts off of this valve cover for a while, but I haven't pulled it because I've been waiting for Garrett to be here and to video record it. I just wanted everybody to see it at once. I have no idea what's going to be in here. It could be sludgy and awful. It could look brand new. It could be anywhere in between. Obviously, I would love for it to look awesome, but I know it's an old car and I'm ready to accept any condition that it might be in. I haven't seen or heard this car run. I have no idea. I know that it turns over. I've given the key a little tickle and I've heard a cough and sputter. It actually kind of sounded like it wanted to run even though it didn't even have any gas. But as far as the condition of the engine, I have no idea. So we're probably going to get our first look at that right now. Oh. Just kidding.
Oh. Oh.
Wow. You think this has been off anytime recently?
Is that all just cork gasket?
Oh yeah.
Getting stuck?
For sure.
Oh yeah. RTV added?
That doesn't look terrible.
No, not at all, really.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
She sure does reek.
There's some
Oh.
plastic bits in here. I'm not sure what that's from. There's quite a bit of it. Like something is breaking down plastic wise. Maybe in the, look at the top of the valve cover.
It doesn't look like it.
Look at this.
My thought is someone probably broke a funnel in there.
Yeah, it could be. Man, that's weird.
There's no plastic around there unless there's a
Could
breather.
be the tube.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tube, the breather that's supposed to be in
It's
here.
probably the breather tube. That's wild. Because
Yeah.
I don't. Nothing
There's
else.
more of it too. Look in the oil galley right there at the end. Some light over here. Can you see that?
Ugh.
There's like a piece trying to fall in.
Just chilling right there.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, really strange. Makes me glad we took the valve cover off.
Right?
We should take the other one off. Have a peek sees. Okay, so I pulled the original sitting unit out of the back of the block. It was a bit of a pain, but we finally got it out, and I just installed the new stuff for this oil pressure gauge. I pretty much just put it in there by hand, so there's a chance that it may leak a little bit of oil, but we're really just doing a test here for oil pressure, so we're gonna wing it over now. We still have all the spark plugs out of it, so it should spin over really quickly and not try to start because it has no spark. Again, this is just to pre-lube the engine and check for oil pressure. And hopefully, you know, based on where this test goes, then we'll start it up after this. You want to watch the gauge?
Yep, I'm on it. Oh.
That was weird.
You got a fat spark on the battery here. I think it grounded. Or are they tight enough? Might not be tight enough.
They're on there pretty good. I don't know. Let's try again. Anything?
Yeah, you just got to 50.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's got pressure. Took a second to start building.
It always takes a minute, yeah.
Once it built, hit 25, then hit right up to 50 on the next crank.
Awesome. Oh, well, that's great news. Let's run to the auto parts store, buy some new spark plugs, throw it in it. I think we're just ready to fire it up. Put it all back together. The valve cover's back on. It has 8 brand new matching spark plugs in it, which is more than it had before. I've hooked up my auxiliary gas tank and an electric fuel pump to it because he told me that he thought the mechanical fuel pump was not working, so just to hopefully make it easy to get it running and hear it run, I don't want to sit here and fight with the mechanical pump, so we're just going to run the electric for now. And I have a little boat gas tank that I have ran to that for safety reasons. So we're not using the original gas tank or any of the original fuel line. It's all just auxiliary plumbed for now, like an engine stand. I really just want to hear this thing run. Since I haven't heard it run before, I'd like for myself to hear it run, know that it runs, and see how well. So I guess here goes nothing. We'll stop talking about it and be about it. turned it over a whole bunch. We can both tell pretty much by ear, it seemed like it was getting no spark. You can always tell when it's just not coughing at all. We put gas down the carb, we can smell fuel coming out of the motor, just no coughs at all. Alright, I'm back. I got this El Cheapo AutoZone coil. It doesn't come with the bracket, so I'm going to have to take the bracket off the old one, put it on the new one, put it all back together. Take the battery and try to start it and see what happens, and fingers crossed. That's a real bummer. I really wanted to hear this thing roar to life.
Right. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yep.
It's just a small step for sure. It's only spark. It's getting fuel.
Yeah.
It's got great oil pressure.
Oil pressure seems good, which is a relief. Yeah, we'll just have to keep experimenting. Like I said, I'm going to do some research and figure out what to do next. Okay, when I bought this car, the guy told me that he attempted to drive it home. He told me that it runs good, the engine sounds solid, it hardly even smokes. He said it shifts good. He said this thing did 80 miles an hour on the freeway. There were some problems. It had no brakes, and on the way home he had a blowout because all the tires were rotted. So he ended up having to tow it the rest of the way. But he said other than that, the drivetrain seemed pretty solid. However, we've been fighting with it all day to get it started. We just replaced the coil, replaced a bunch of other shit. Nothing. I'm sitting here, stumped, mad as can be on the internet trying to figure it out. And then I started tracing wires. And earlier in the day, I said to Garrett, I found these 2 plugs that were unplugged, and I was like, man, I wonder what these go to. He's like, oh, I got lots of those in my engine bay. I was like, yeah, that's fair. I have lots of unplugged crap in lots of my engine bays too.
Except I unplugged all mine myself.
Except we know what those go to, and that makes a big difference. Well, I just retraced the negative wire that goes to the coil because that's the one that controls it on the original wiring system, and it went into one of those disconnected pigtails. So it wasn't hard to find them, and I plugged them back in, and then we just gave it a little tickle and it started to cough and sputter. So it seems like everything we've done today banging our heads has probably just been because it was unplugged the whole time. But on the other hand, it's got lots of new fresh parts on it, which is great. Let's connect some fuel to it and see if we can get this thing to run.
Want to feed a little gas down the tube?
Yeah, we might. But I mean, we're feeding it gas, so I don't know why we need to do that. I just had dinner, and we've been working on this thing all day. We spent half the day trying to figure out why it had no spark, and it turned out to be because some plugs were disconnected. Then we realized that we had spark, and it seemed like we were getting no fuel. And so then we started digging into my auxiliary fuel tank system to try to figure that out and why we weren't getting any fuel. It turns out that the electric fuel pump that we were trying to use just didn't have the guts to create enough vacuum in that tank to get the gas up the pickup. We ended up swapping it out for a different inline fuel pump. It's actually the one that came with the car. This is the old one that we used here, and I thought this was going to be enough, but it seems like it just wasn't. This is the one we replaced it with, and this one actually seems to be working. We managed to pull fuel up to here and get it to come out, and then we connected this and we got it to spit fuel out of the end of the line. So now, in theory, we're definitely delivering fuel to the carburetor. We you know, have yet to see the carburetor really work or function. We haven't tested it like this at all. That's what we're here to do now. So let's see if this thing will make some noise. Fuel pump?
Doing that. And fuel pumping.
Oh, baby.
Woo.
Is the choke open now?
The
Flapper at the top?
no.
Okay. Okay, now we got nothing again.
All right, I'm gonna unplug.
All right. It sounded so good. It does have a vacuum leak too. I forgot about that.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
fix that real quick.
That does not help the thing. Piglet.
Is she over there snorting?
Oh yeah, as usual.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this vacuum cap on here real quick. Just for testing purposes only.
What brake booster or master or anything?
Who needs brakes?
What brakes?
You don't need brakes. Honestly overrated. I hate to say it, but I do agree with Whistling Diesel about one thing, and that is that these new safety gas tanks absolutely suck. They're not any safer.
They're
than the old
fucking
way.
horrible.
They just make you spill even more.
It's either just the right amount or way too much. Pump.
Almost idled.
Oh yeah.
Just won't idle. It won't do it. But it does run.
Right?
We just need to turn up the idling speed, or what?
Get rid of that
Just will not idle.
vacuum leak too.
That's true, but other than that, it runs good. When it runs. Yeah.
You.
Dude, I'm so hyped. That's sick. I just started watching this other YouTube channel. Just to shout out real quick to the Clevo King. He's all about Clevelands all the time, and since I bought one recently and I've been learning all about it, I'm all hyped into him. The Cleveland is a really interesting engine. It was only made for a few years, and it was like meant to be a replacement to the 351 Windsor, which is kind of a cobbled together engine. And this one was supposed to be like the Chevy small block killer. And then they only ran it for like 5 or 6 years, and they decided it was more complicated than it needed to be. The 351 was a little more reliable and pedestrian, and so they just axed this one after putting a ton of money into it. And, you know, the Windsor lived on, and the Windsor's a pretty alright motor. One of the best ways to make like a really sick motor is to make a thing called a Clevor, where they take Cleveland heads and put them on a Windsor block and make like a Frankenstein out of it, because the Cleveland heads flow like crazy. And yeah, I'm excited, man. That thing sounded like it run good. I can't wait to hit that thing on the road.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and that smell, it just never gets old. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap for this episode. I hope you liked it. I hope you stay tuned on the Ranchero for the things that come in the future. We'll be fixing this thing up and hopefully one day driving it down the road.